grab your wine. It's time for Rosé All Day and Juleigh's a Mess, where we talk about current events and living in an intersex life. And now, here's Juleigh.
Everybody, I was just thinking in my head that I should probably put a disclaimer on these podcasts moving forward that we are 18 and up if you're watching on YouTube. Oh my God. So Rebecca and I have totally been talking before the show started about just things that are going on in both of our lives. And I just thought, and she said, we better not be live. And I said, we're not. Although I thought if you heard what we were talking about, this show would probably be the most watched and listened podcast in all the land. Hashtag facts. So Rebecca is joining us all the way from Alabama, my birth state tonight. She travels a lot, this one. Which is kind of funny because I didn't tell you this, but the other day I was in such a bad place because of the new moon and I'm freaking out about so many things in my life that I almost hopped in the car and drove up to surprise you in Savannah. But then I was like, that's probably not a good idea. And then I'm glad I didn't because you're not even there. You're in Alabama.
Well, I would have loved that. And also, I drove up yesterday. So yeah, you never know when I'm going to hop in a car.
Mm-hmm.
It's dangerous.
I like an adventure. It's not dangerous. I mean, I
leave my keys in the mailbox. No one else can have the code, but offline, you can always just stay there and wait for me, lying in wait for my return.
Well, so last year, 2 years ago, all of my friends were like, where's Juleigh? I even did this podcast literally from the rig of a truck because this guy was like, hey, do you want to ride to Mississippi with me? And I went, yeah, I don't have anything else to do. So I grabbed my laptop and I was in Savannah and I hopped in this guy's rig and drove all the way to Mississippi with him. And people were like, are you crazy? That's how you end up on Dateline. And I was like, look, it didn't happen. I didn't end up on Dateline. I did have some fun time with the guy in the rig. So, check that off my bucket list. And the guy from that rig was just in Orlando earlier this week and came and stayed over. So, I definitely, as Manny would say, I became a little trucker. You can't say it, but it rhymes with trucker and it rhymes with something you do with a lollipop. And then it rhymes with something that we all do as adults. So you literally say, look at you, you trucker, blanker, blanker. And I was like, that is horrific, but guilty. So, but that's not what we're talking about tonight. Tonight, by the way, I'm drinking Dr. Pepper because it is Asia Black's birthday and I'm heading out to see her at Savoy later on tonight. That's me dropping names. And then thanks to everybody that's listening and has continued to watch OIO, Optimistic in Orlando, and send us feedback and comments. We'd love that. It is a live chat, so you can join in right now on YouTube and chat with us live. And it looks like we have 2 viewers, although they're not talking to us, so I don't know who they are. And then Rebecca, again, in Alabama, she is not drinking rosé. Neither am I. We're cheating. But she said she's going with her theme and sticking with the Alabama ways, and she is drinking a cold brewski. She's having a Modelo. So
I got a cool vibe. I've even got the flannel going, guys. There we go.
Oh, so sorry, I'm checking. We've been and I've been preparing for the show tonight. She usually checks in with me midday on Sunday, and she's like, "Hey, you have some gutter swipes you need to look at." I took care of that earlier, but we're going to get into it tonight. We always talk at the beginning of the show about different things. But before we get to our topic, we're going to mix it up a little bit. Do y'all remember last week where we were talking about gutter swipes and we showed you if gutter swipes had a doll, what it would look like? And we showed you Carlos from the Billy line. Well, almost as if the heavens knew I was going to be needing content for tonight's show. If you're listening, feel free to tune in and look. But I got this on one of the apps tonight.
It's him.
It's literally the doll. It's literally Carlos. And this guy is Brazilian. He couldn't just tell you he was from Brazil. He had to tell you he was Brazilian. Now, here's what's funny about this gentleman. He gave us the gutter go ahead right into the mix. So if you remember us talking about gutter swipes last week, and we said they usually give you a telltale sign within the first couple of minutes, as Rebecca said, this one broke the mold because literally his first comment to me was, help me get off, in some very flowery words. And I said, you're 5,000 miles away from me. Look right down here on this particular app. It tells you the distance. He is 4,632 miles away from me. And I literally, because I'm fiery today and I've been firing back how I feel, which Rebecca was laughing. I literally said, you can't find somebody in your immediate area. Where are you? Like I thought, where are you? Are you in the middle of like Borneo and the jungle that you had to like reach out to me 5,000 miles away? Anyway, he's wearing the same outfit that our gutter swipe doll.
It's too good.
Is wearing.
Wait, you know what? Our gutter swipe doll has one thing a little bit more in excess than he does, and I don't feel bad exposing
a better body. A better body.
Yeah.
So tonight's episode, dun, 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 is all about trauma bonding. That's what we're talking about tonight. Trauma bonding. I'm actually going to change our layout a little bit. Hi. Wow.
Oh, wow. That's so close and personal.
I know. I love it. So let's talk about trauma bonding. First off, for those at home that are listening, what is trauma bonding? What do you think it is? I'll give my definition in a second.
You're asking viewers or you're asking me?
I'm asking you.
I keep hoping these people are going to come through the chat. Come on, guys.
I'm like, come on, guys. What's trauma bonding to you? There are two people in here. To the two people in here, what's trauma bonding?
So trauma bonding, when I was first introduced to it, people make jokes like, oh my God, we're trauma bonding when they share trauma, when you bond over shared trauma. Okay, but I believe that's a misnomer. You've got us hooked up with all the correct definitions. Then another thing that I heard trauma bonding is that when you're in relationships that mimic a past relationship in which you had an unhealthy dynamic. So let's say I had an absent father, let's pretend or say, and then I found someone who replayed a cycle of me like trying to get that attention or trying to get that whatever. And that was the cycles I always got into in relationships. But I am going to leave it right there and let you describe to us what it really means, because most people have the wrong definition.
I have to, well, crap. Now I have to look up what I sent you last week.
Well, in your words, what do you think it is? Do you think it's one of those two things?
Well, reading all the definitions I've read all week, a lot of the definitions say it's a form of PTSD, which is something we don't often talk about. And PTSD has so many layers, like an onion. So many people have PTSD, and I'm not making fun of it. I'm just saying a lot of people have it, and it's often caused by an array of different things. Trauma bonding, I'd always heard, was something traumatic happens in your life. You often find somebody that can share, like what you were saying, they share in that, right? Maybe you both have daddy issues, right? And then you find a connection over that. and you become so reliant on each other because you don't think anybody else that you meet is going to be able to have that kind of empathy and understanding for what you went through, that you kind of imprint on each other and you'll never break. And that's that trauma bonding, right? And so I've heard it that way. I also heard a very interesting, the whole reason we decided to do this show and this topic this week is because when we talked about it a little bit in last week's episode, but I heard a quote from somebody that said, if you were single, more than likely in this day and age, single individuals are not willing to put up with the tragicness and the trauma in a trauma bond situation, so that in essence, as single people, we've done the work and we've progressed and we're now at a higher level than those that are willing to trauma bond. And so for that reason, the single people are not trauma bonding because they've moved on and they processed that angst or that hurt. And I thought, okay, maybe, but at the same time, I think that that's kind of a cop-out because
there are just a lot of assholes out there too.
That.
Well, okay, so maybe this ties it all together. So the definition that you had sent me was about how, like, it really describes kind of an abusive relationship where the person who's abused, it's basically Stockholm syndrome. The person who's abused is bonding. They're getting confused over the intensity of being treated poorly and whatever, and they're getting that confused with love. But I would say that all has in common this idea of like just pain and angst and intensity and not having, and like be this sort of like misery really does love company. I mean, it really does. It's creating, we can create bonds out of positive energy and connection and just spending time and being able to appreciate nature together and being able to just love life. And if you can't sit down and get to know someone and have a good friend based off of like time spent not sharing awful things that happened to you or re-experiencing them with each other or trying to heal them through each other, then you do have some work to do, I think. And I used to be very attached to connecting with people over shared trauma. Then within that there was a relationship I have in mind right now. In that same relationship, we actually were playing out, like triggering each other. And then it ultimately had to end because and my brother said to me, you know, you have to be able to uplift each other as well. Like you at some point, like it's great that you can try to help each other with these things or talk about these things, or that you've got these things that come to the surface that you're able to work on because you're with each other. But at some point you have to be able to make each other happy and rise to another place. And that's kind of the balcony basement person thing, right? Like trauma bonding is a form of being in the basement. Whether you're playing that out with an abusive person or whether you're just bonding with people over the fact that it happened.
True. I mean, true. And I met a guy in Savannah right before I left Savannah, and I really liked him a lot. We went and saw a movie, and I really connected with them. And then in the middle of the date, he said that he trauma bonds with cats. And I thought, well, I don't know if that's a true trauma bond, but I guess. And then I found out that he had like 32 cats.
Wait, they're traumatized by him. He's the abuser in the situation.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. I get like you need one cat or two cats and you trauma bond with them and you hate people. And that wasn't the case. He wasn't saying he hated people, but he literally was like, do you want to go back to my house? And I was like, how many cats do you have? And that's not appropriate for a first date, you asking me to your house. But how many cats do you have? And he was like, well, I've got like 24 inside and like 32 outside. I was like, good God, Stephen King. It's not happening.
That is so weird.
And then I was like, what happens if you move? And he was like, well, I'm gonna have to find a place for all the cats. And I went, the 24? or all 60 something of them.
Oh my God. Wow.
And look, I like cats. Yeah. As I said to you earlier today, because we were talking about Wally, your brother's cat. And Rebecca had shared with me that we're going there. That we were talking earlier about somebody that has expressed interest in me and has also expressed interest in adult fun time with canines. And
which we are not taking a position and certainly not approving.
We're not taking a position on that. However, going back to the cats, Rebecca had said that her brother's dog and cat were like,
they're all over each other. They have special lick time. And I'm like, it's okay, Dusty. And we found them in the kitchen today, and Dusty was licking Wally's ear and looked up like, oh, we thought this was a private space. So it was adorable, but yeah, there was some interspecies love there.
And I literally said to Rebecca, I get it. Everybody likes a little bit of pussy.
Henry is a handsome cat. So I don't blame Dusty. I don't know about your guy. We might be at bottom of the barrel phase right now, so we need to get
you. Know what sucks is my guy, that particular guy is absolutely beautiful. I mean, Manny's even seen pictures of him, and Manny's like, God, he's gorgeous. And I'm like, I know.
It's tough though, because good looks won't get you off for murder.
No.
Well, it does for some people, but it shouldn't.
Well, I said to somebody the other day, it's not easy being pretty. And I totally meant it, because they were like, you're gorgeous. And I was like, okay, but I suck at love. I suck at relationships. I am not great, so I was just like, it ain't all it's cracked up to be. Sometimes I think, though, being pretty, I think it's harder. And I know people are not going to agree with that statement, but
this is a violin.
Oh, shut up. But seriously, I mean, yeah, you could say violin, but
no, tell me.
I was just going to say it's harder. One, because people think we're already taken.
That's true.
And then they're intimidated, so they don't approach us in a bar.
That's true.
And then, I mean,
unless they're absolute assholes and sort of like can't read the room. Like, you don't get the people who should approach you. You get the people who don't give a fuck about anything.
Right.
And not
yes. Or you get the ones that are just a moving target because they're so drunk and you're in the line of fire.
Yes.
Which is horrible. But like, I had a guy approach me a couple of years ago, and he said, we met kind of inconspicuously at this bar, not like mysteriously, just we ran into each other. And I said, oh, you're really attractive. And he said, I've thought you were gorgeous for the longest time. And I said, thank you so much. That's a great compliment. And I said, who are you here with tonight? Or what are you doing tonight? And he goes, I'm here with my wife. And I went, oh. And he said, I never approached you and always wanted to. And I never did because you always looked taken. And I said, how do you look taken? And he goes, well, you just always had a lot of people around you. And I just always assumed that you were dating one of them. And I thought,
you win. You have convinced me that it's hard to be pretty. That's a devastating story.
Devastating. I also heard recently, because this is devastating, right? So on the level that we were just talking about, I heard recently there are two types of, now this, I don't believe in this statement at all, but still devastating to hear nonetheless, right? Because picture being in my shoes, picture being a trans woman or an intersex woman. You already have so many hurdles you have to overcome, right? And then you're out there looking for the same thing that everybody else has, which is a relationship. And you just want to go do normal things or things that are quote unquote normal to the rest of the world. and somebody says to you, there are two types of women in the world. There's the women you marry, and there's the women you fuck. And unfortunately for you, you're not the first.
I'm not either.
And I literally went, ow, ow. Like, and then we're not, I mean, yes, it's going to sound like the violin because we're on that train of thought, but I literally took one of those stupid quizzes on Facebook last night, and it says, what ingredients did God put in you? And it literally shows this cartoon, and God was like, a lot of brains, a lot of charisma. Let's give her a love. Oh, fuck. And it shows the love life part like knocked over. And I was like,
it's too
God.
much.
Ow, God.
That's amazing.
Ow, God. Like, ow. Okay. So trauma bonda.
Okay.
Ponda.
I think that trauma bonding in terms of bonding over trauma does get a really bad rep.
Yeah.
Like out there right now, it's like everyone's like, oh, I don't want to trauma bond, or trauma bonding is yuck, or whatever. Okay. I am of the belief that if something exists, like if we as humans constantly have certain patterns, they do probably serve a purpose. And when overused, or when that's all that you're doing or whatever, then it can fall under the unhealthy, if you will. But trauma bonding, like, it is very powerful. Let's imagine you and I had both been in abusive relationships, and we managed to talk about that and talk about things that no one else can understand in our circles, that we're able to kind of like lift each other up and help each other out of the basement, because you learn something, you teach me, I learned something, and we're able to process and we're able to hold that space, right? So if you are bonding over trauma or experiencing that, it can be very powerful because it helps you get out of bad situations, right? Like when you join a support group. And it also helps you rise above if you both have the purpose, if both people want to leave the basement together. But if you get stuck, because there is, I read something once about like emotional addiction. But you can get stuck on negative emotions because they do actually, and certainly at a certain point, can release dopamine, I think. I don't know the science entirely on this, but I do know that like you can have a pleasure response to wallowing, and you can get attached to the feeling of wallowing, or just because it becomes so familiar, the pain of trauma or the same wound becomes this ridge in your brain. And it is a very potent, very, very potent way of bonding with someone or connecting, or a very potent feeling. But if you can't get into, they say, so I was part of the 12-step program. You're never supposed to mention them, but this is one that's for people who need support with people who struggle. And the idea is that when you're in healthy relationships, they can appear boring because there's not much going on, because you don't have that stuff feeding your brain. So I think a lot that, going back to that sort of inspiring quote, there are definitely a lot of us who have worked on our traumas or our past, or who want to connect over positive experiences and also have deep connections. And it's difficult to find somebody who has the depth, because trauma also adds depth to a person, right? If you haven't gone through anything in life, you haven't had to overcome anything in life, you might be patio person. Like, yeah, come drink a beer with me in my backyard. We'll just do nothing and smoke weed. And that's difficult. But then if you've got someone who's still stuck in their trauma, then, you know, you're in the basement together. And so it is very difficult to be an evolved person and want to engage. After a while, you lose an appetite for either of those two scenarios.
Well, and in some of those cases, you know, I just read a quote right before I came in here, and it was about dating, and it was about men. And it said, this woman said, oh my God, he's just broken, but I can fix him. Mm-hmm. And then right underneath that, somebody else said, ma'am, he's got 8 other ladies that are also trying to fix him. Don't be a part of the construction crew.
Oh my God.
And I
brilliant.
literally went, that 100%. 100%. Don't fall into that trap. Because what I was going to say to your response was, sometimes you can be in the basement thinking, well, we're going to get out together. I've already done the work and I'm up here and I'm going to show him or her how to get out of the basement. And then you stay down there after a while because they're not willing to work on that trauma and they're not climbing the stairs. And so you're kind of in between patio and basement. And it's kind of like you turn around and you're like, are you coming?
Yeah.
Right? Oh yeah, I'm coming, babe. Today? Like, and
Right.
you just get to this bitter point of, I can't do this anymore. And it's horrible because you have to leave that situation that you had been willing to stay in for so long, hoping that they would follow your lead or take your hand and move out of the basement and past the patio. And I think too, a lot of people struggle with that because they're in that same situation, and it is devastating. It's devastating when you've experienced that, or when you experience it and you finally say to yourself, I can't. And then it's even more devastating because I think then you take on the role of, I'm leaving. I've chosen to leave. I'm leaving you because you couldn't participate. And then you feel like shit because you're adding to their trauma.
You're abandoning them again. Yeah. Oh yeah, I had that. I had to leave someone who I had a really bad relationship with, and I was fixated. I remember it's adorable is what I'll call it, but it could be embarrassing, but it this is the way the brain works. I was fixating on leaving him enough silverware out of my silverware because I felt so upset that I was taking his life from him, and I had contributed so much to the house myself, okay, that he had become dependent on my dishes, my stuff, my whatever. And moving out, I was like taking all the furniture and I was clearing. It was like this devastating moment where I realized how much I had contributed, and this whole thing was like on my shoulders. And that taking myself away from him felt like taking his life away from him. And he had abandonment issues, and and I broke my heart, and I was like, I have to leave him one of my friends was like, he's a grown man. Silverware is not expensive. He can fucking use plastic. Like, what is going on? But it was this psychological feeling of like, you stay with someone long enough, you try to get them over the finish line. And then it's that self-manifestation thing too, if you're stuck in the basement, because you are going to get left again, because a healthy person is going to have to leave you. So you really do have to work to want to get out of there, because he's kind of manifesting the same cycle again.
I'm listening to what you're saying. Somebody has joined in the conversation.
Oh, amazing.
So I was reading what they were saying. So let's put up what they said. They said, Omega said, I used to be super judgmental of people until I started going through some stuff. Example, I used to only date women that made as much money as I did. Then I lost a really good paying job. Once I changed my bad attitude and weird outlook of not judging people on how much money they make versus the great caring qualities that they bring, that now I make a great deal of money and have great relationships with people and make good money. You guys talking about fixing guys, you shouldn't have to fix anyone. You just need to learn to ask more questions when dating now. Don't be afraid to ask questions when dating. It's an interview. Your mental health comes first. Amen. Laugh out loud. Use plastic forks. I like your friend. She is wise. Sorry you ran into that, Rebecca.
Thank you.
At Miranda Mobley, 100% agrees with you. So I know Miranda. She's also in the Savannah area. Thank you, Miranda, for joining. We weren't talking about fixing guys, but if you hadn't joined until just now, we were talking about how you shouldn't join the construction team to fix guys, right? That we were saying don't do that. We were talking about trauma bonding, Miranda, and just talking about people, in essence, everywhere that have a tendency to trauma bond, and then they can't get out of it, and
get stuck in it.
They get stuck in it, and that's kind of what we were talking about. And so with the fixing guy part, we were saying there was a great meme on Facebook the other day that said, "Oh, he's broken, I'm gonna fix him," and somebody else said, "Girl, there are 8 other women trying to fix him. Don't join the construction crew." And in saying that, right, we just said absolutely 100%. There are plenty of guys out there that are allowing a construction crew to come in the first place. Mm-hmm. And they're literally playing the job of foreman, running around, seeing who they can get to work on them. And
mm-hmm. And then that brings up the thing of like, what is it called? There's a word for people playing out their dynamics with their parents, where you have someone like looking for a parent figure. And I mean,
is that the Oedipus complex?
Well, no, it's not like actually Oedipus complex. It's more like something like projected family dynamic or something. But it's not that you like are attracted to your parent and find someone else that's like that. It's more that, like, again, if you go back to someone had an absent father and they are constantly trying to seek what they didn't get from that previous person with the new person. These guys with the construction crews probably have mommy issues, or do you know what I mean? Where it's like there's this cycle that's very, and then the people that are trying to fix them probably had a parent who was in need that they had to become a caretaker, right? Like we have just these patterns, and you really do have to break the pattern that's driving you to want that, because you can fight what your patterns are and be like, oh, I can't do that again. But then until you break why you need them and replace that entirely and completely dismantle like whatever story you've got going on or wherever that trauma is coming from, you're going to continue to be attracted to it. So the goal is that you lose a taste for someone's trauma.
So that's interesting that you said that, because Miranda Mobley just said trauma bonding is something I'm personally familiar with. She goes on to say, sometimes you get lucky and can get out of the bad relationship soon enough to learn what you don't want to have. Which sucks is that sometimes you have to go through the bad guys. 100%.
It's so true.
Oh my God. Yes, Rebecca. I ran into a few of those dates. I noticed I was being expected to be the father figure. It was weird.
Yep.
Yes. My ex wanted a mommy, not a wife. Mm-hmm. I experienced that more than not. Even in dating now, even in some of the people we've met through this show, I'm expected to be a mother and not a girlfriend or a wife, which is weird when it falls into the sexual, because then you're like, I can't do it. The mommy and daddy complex, or as we talked earlier tonight, the Fido complex. Okay, so I knew that would make Rebecca laugh. Miranda's like, what? You'll have to go back and see what the Fido complex is about. So we've now covered trauma bonding, mommy and daddy complexes, and dog complexes, and Wally, the cat. So we are going to move on. We're moving on to dun, 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 dun. I think it's become my favorite part of the week, actually, in all honesty. It has become one of my favorite parts of the week. So we are going to talk about what? Gutter swipes and gas station chocolate.
Which, guys, along with my Alabama theme, no hate to Alabama. It's a wonderful place.
Yeah.
There's a culture to it. There's a culture to my brother's house, at least. And it includes lots of leftover Halloween candy, but the kind no one wants, which is the little Hershey.
Raisins? You have boxes of raisins?
It's not that bad. But the little tiny little regular plain Hershey's chocolate, and I have a soft spot in my heart for it. We all do. So I've been eating old Halloween candy throughout the day, and I thought of us.
Look, Julie, people like me because I'm really honest. Blatantly so. They like you for the same reason. Let's be very clear about what happens to Halloween Hershey Kisses, especially during this time of the year. If there are any leftover Hershey Kisses from Halloween, which inevitably there will be, your mom is going to scoop them up and she's going to put them into some kind of cookie recipe for the holidays.
That's so true. Yes.
It's true. You were literally talking about your brother's leftover Hershey Kisses, and I saw a woman like rolling out cookies and pressing them, pretzel on the top and baking them. Occasionally you will open up a Hershey Kiss next Halloween thinking, oh, I'm hungry. Here's some chocolate. You open it up. And what does it also have in common with gas station chocolate? Sometimes it'll be white because it's so old and the air has gotten to it.
Yeah, so, like grayish.
Like a grayish. Yes. Oh, wait. Let's see what Miranda said real fast. Hey, I love raisins and oatmeals with banana in the morning and some cinnamon. Have that almost every morning. I'll take the raisins. You can have them. My raisin.
But raisins are a garnish. This is an excellent use case of raisins, but a box of raisins when you're expecting candy in a Halloween bag.
Miranda, raisins are okay. We're not saying don't have a dried up, shriveled up grape.
You don't like raisins.
It's not that I don't like them. It's not that I don't like them. It's that I literally remember one Halloween, my mom would always buy like Snickers and Reese's peanut butter cups for herself at Halloween. And then she would turn around and she would be that lady that everybody hated in the neighborhood because she'd try and give out little boxes of sun-made raisins, which is not a candy. And so I literally remember one year we were living in Houston and my mom and dad went out for Halloween night. And my older brother turned around and he said, if the doorbell rings, let me give out the candy. And I was like, what? You're upstairs. I'm not coming to get you to come downstairs. He was 2 years older than I was and in high school. But here's what's funny. My brother is a corporate attorney. He may not remember this story. However, he was like, I'm giving out the candy. We got crap this year in the way of candy because mom's hidden the good candy for herself. So he goes, let me hand out the candy. Now, the first couple of times he came down, I let him do it. And then I looked in the bowl and noticed that we had gone from just a bowl of sun-made raisin boxes to like some decent candy. And I was like, wait, how'd that get in the bowl? And so he turned around and he was like, if you have to give out candy, this is what you do. So they're going to ring the doorbell. You're going to open the door. They're going to say, trick or treat. You're going to keep your focus on their eyes. You're going to reach in the first bag, not taking your focus off any of the kids. Grab a handful of their candy, distribute it to the other bags, and then reach in the last bag, grab another handful, pull it out and kind of hold it close to yourself and say, oh, y'all all look so cute. Happy Halloween. And when they turn around to leave, you drop it in the bowl. Y'all, my parents came home from Halloween that night. My mom was like, I don't remember buying this kind of candy.
That is brilliant.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. I agree. Okay. So we're going to read one more comment. And it's from Omega. I enjoy making this awesome apple cake, 4 ounces sugar, 8 ounces flour, tablespoon, whatever. Baking, look,
I like absolutely.
Some rum, peeled apples, bake for 20 minutes, serve hot. Okay, that is wonderful. I actually would just want the rum and
I'm a both and.
Just the rum. Just give me the rum. And you make the cake. Just give me the rum. We are going to move on to gutter swipes, though, because that's what it's all about on OIO. So last week, talking about gutter swipes last week, yeah, I don't remember. I think we had one decent conversation that I felt like was going somewhere, and then it literally just drove right off the cliff. And then most of our gutter swipes that we asked questions of bounced, which they tend to do, which is fine. We read a couple last week. We had a great one. We said we were going to try and pick a gutter of the week. However, because a lot of them bounced, we don't have a gutter of the week. Rebecca sent me a bunch of gutters today, and we're going to open it up and see if any of them responded. Even going to read you some of the questions. Has anybody responded? Nobody's responded, but just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 gutter swipes tonight. She sent me 11.
They all came in at once.
And we asked the questions. Now, normally I will ask a question that the Hive provides. So you know, if you're just joining us for the first time this week, we don't give out the actual names of the dating apps that we're on for legal reasons. And then also don't give out the guys' names. We try and give them a code name if at all possible. I am going to read you what I read. I'm going to send you one of them. There's this guy that keeps, now here's my thing. In the Hive, I find it very interesting when somebody drops out of my Hive because they're not interested, certainly not interested or baited with any of our questions, only to swipe right on me the next week. And then Rebecca goes, oh, so-and-so is back. Let's see if we can get them again to respond. One of those we're calling World Traveler. Now, let me see if he...
Who's that guy that has, is it Richard Branson who owns like Virgin Atlantic and everything?
Yeah.
That's what this person is, but he's a very young version.
Now he's 33, and I don't remember if, I gotta see if he's, where is,
wait, did he go away again?
I think he went away again.
Why does he do this?
I don't know. Now, what's funny is he joined, he's in Key West. Every single one of his pictures, he is being very braggadocious. Is that a word? Yeah. He's bragging in every single picture.
Braggadocious? No.
Braggadocious. There you go.
I think that's made up, but I love it.
I love it too, but he is literally bragging in every picture, and he's standing in front of like an amphibian plane, which is one of those planes that can land on water. And he's like, I own one of these. And then he's standing in front of like 9 jet skis, and he's like, I own all of these, and I own a Viper, blah, blah, blah. And I own a helicopter. And I mean, he's literally like, and then when you read his profile, it's like, what's something that you learned way too late in life? And his answer was that I didn't have to work as hard to get all this stuff. It would have just come to me anyway. And then his next question was, what's your personal hell? And he said, trying to find somebody in online dating. So when I messaged him this time, I said, well, maybe if you weren't such a douchebag and an Elise's prick, you'd have a better chance at finding somebody.
Okay, Julie, and we're wondering where he went.
We're not wondering where he went, but as you said earlier today,
sent him off well.
Like my thing lately is, I am pretty fucking honest in my profiles. I mean, look, we joined another app this week called Binge. We're calling it Binge. That's not what it's called. Binge. And my profile is pretty cut and dry about what I bring to the table and what I'm offering. And so if anybody were to question me based on something that's in my profile, I'm going to turn around and give you an honest answer. I'm going to give you an honest answer about it. And truth be told, some of these guys will put things in their profile, and when you question them on it, or you say something to them about it, they're like, bitch. And then they jump off, and you're like, I'm calling it how I see it. For example, there is a guy for the purpose of this podcast, we're going to call him the Big Red Dog.
Okay. I know who we are looking at then.
And he was
so
one
subtle, of Juleigh.
He was one of the gutter swipes, right? Now he's been in the hive before as well. And just to show you what he looks like, I mean, in every single picture, he is jacked. I mean, when I tell you he is jacked, he is jacked.
Yeah, and I called him a potential elder gutter swipe because he's of a silver age.
Right.
And I love it.
And he talks about how he has children and he doesn't want more. He's like, I have a lot of children and I don't want more. And he goes on, and I guess where I was triggered a little bit today, because I've been so fiery and wild, is he puts that he's Christian. And
he's looking for someone who loves God.
And he's looking for somebody that loves God. And all of his photos, he's basically, there used to be a magazine back in the day called Undergear. And it was a mailing catalog in the late 80s and 90s. And gay guys would get it and order it in the mail just because it showed men in jockstraps and underwear. And it was basically like softcore Playgirl. And so everybody ordered it for that reason. And if there was a female equivalent, it would be like Venus. You know how there was that magazine Shopping Connect years ago called Venus, and it would show you all these hot girls in bikinis and lingerie and bodycon dresses. Well, Undergear was kind of it. The other catalog from Undergear was called International Male, and so basically it's softcore. And so this guy looks like he's right out of the pages of Undergear and International Male.
But either one.
So my question to him, and we're going to see if he baits, was he tells you when you write him, ask me about my travel list, right? Ask me about where I want to travel. And you're looking at his photos and you're like, ugh, like, he's going to be a gutter swipe. We know it. We've been here before. And so I said, tell me about your travel list, ? Because he's telling you he wants you to ask about that. And I said, and then tell me why you got a divorce. As a fellow Christian, I'm just curious.
She says with a Southern accent.
Yeah, wait.
Bless your heart.
As a fellow Christian, I'm just curious. But seriously, why'd you marry him? We'll see if he bites.
Well, okay, my question is, why do we know he's divorced? Because he has kids?
Because he said he has a lot of kids, and there was no way that he was not married.
Yeah, that's true.
And even if he wasn't married, you're so big.
He was married under God.
You're so big in the Christian faith that you're going around committing acts of adultery just to have a bunch of kids.
There's literally, guys, a photo.
It doesn't match up for me. It doesn't match up. They say
I wish I could show everyone his face. He's very attractive and
he's very attractive.
Guttery of gutter ways. Anyway, all right, let's see if he bites.
Okay. Anyway, 11 gutters today. And we actually had, for a brief moment, Rebecca, we had about 5 people in here. I was so excited. Now we have 3. Let's see. Megan said, oh, them Christians are rough. Some of them are super not nice guys. I'm Roman Catholic. So like, I look at everyone else as watered down Christians. Lutherans are just poor Catholics. Just kidding. Just kidding. That's what Miranda is saying. And then she went on to say, a lot of kids is a lot of baggage. Plus, if you get married a lot, that means you treat God like a joke. That's
what I will say is this.
Resident Roman Catholic in the chat room.
What I will say is this, is that I am always shocked by how many gutter swipes have the word Christian in their profile. And I'm like, you should be behaving better. This is not what this is about. I don't understand why. I don't know. I do notice a discrepancy, but I mean, it's not causality. It's just concurrent. I'm always just like, all right, come on, get it together then.
Well, here's the thing. I don't want people listening to think that I'm not on board for kids. I 100% am. I'm actually talking to somebody right now who has a kid. That is never a problem for me. As we have discussed in the past, as I have discussed on this show and with Rebecca in the past, for the longest time, I didn't want to date people with kids because, for this main reason, if a guy works 40 to 60 hours a week because they have to now pay child support, okay? And then they come home and they have to spend equal amounts of time with said kids because they only get them every other weekend, right? I am going to get shifted, and I should. I'm not saying I deserve to be at the top of that list. I don't. I'm not the kid. I 100% believe you should spend time with your kids, and no kid should get left behind. I'm not saying, what I am saying is, if you already are committed to working a 40 to 60 hour week, you're also trying to put self-care in there and do things that you enjoy doing as an individual alone. You're also looking at taking care of your kids, right, and spending time with them. It's going to continue to shift, and I'm going to be at the bottom of the totem pole. Mm-hmm. And if you're trying to date me and get to know me, mm-hmm. it serves no purpose to put me at the bottom and make me a last ditch opportunity or choice.
You know, that's a subject for a whole other podcast too.
That's a whole other podcast.
Priority. Maybe that's next week's, but it is interesting because I think that people have different perspectives about, should you be priority early on? At what point do you get to be priority? I would imagine on the devil's advocate side of that, someone who is a busy dad who's overwhelmed with stuff has probably gone out on also a lot of dead dates. And I know there is the hesitance too, to like, obviously you don't want people to meet your kids until it's gotten to a certain point because they'll develop an attachment. But it is difficult though. And it's just one of those, it's not always a match because you are not looking to be on the bottom of someone's list. The reason it might not be a match sometimes is because you want to be number one, and it's okay to want to be number one, but you're not going to be number one with a dad. But it's also okay to be number two. I don't mind being number two.
I don't mind. Look, I don't mind being number 4. I don't mind being number 5. I don't want to be last if you're trying to pursue me for a relationship.
Yes, absolutely.
I don't want to be an afterthought. At some point, I want to be included. Because at some point I will meet your kid at some point. And I'm not saying I need to be introduced, like you said early on. I don't need to be introduced the third day I know you. It's just
make a little effort for me.
Make a little bit of an effort, maybe if you get a break, right? I jokingly told somebody today, I was like, I'm going to go take the dog to the park for a walk. Wouldn't it be funny if you took your kid to the park and you just happened to bump into me? And I thought, am I at that point now that I am making arrangements to bump into somebody just in order to see them and meet them and see if there's chemistry? I shouldn't be at that point, and I shouldn't be.
Okay, so I'm going to intervene here on your language, which is I shouldn't be at that point. And I would say you are not at any point. It is just happening. The world shouldn't be at that point. Things shouldn't be at that point. These men shouldn't be at that point. But you haven't like not done what you need to do to get your ducks in a row that you're failing. That's a thing women feel all the time that is completely wrong. But we shouldn't be at this point. Things shouldn't be at the point where you're trying to bump into people.
I mean, I thought I had all my ducks in a row, but now I'm not so sure. And I'm pretty sure
it only works if everybody else's ducks are working. And
I think one of my ducks might be a blind pigeon in New York City. Like I literally am like, I don't think all my ducks are ducks. I don't know.
I can't get on board with that. All right, let's get you more gutters or more matches. What do you want next?
We did 11 gutters, and we're gonna wait and see if they bite. Let's look at
matches.
Let's look at some matches for this week because it's 7:55.
I know, you gotta get to it.
So I think we've got time for maybe 2 matches.
Okay.
Because I do have to go attend a soiree.
Oh yeah, with the names that you dropped.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, this is a potential gutter. I don't know why I saved it. That's not happening. Bear with me, folks. I too get drawn away and tempted. Okay, this is an interesting, I'll call him a wild card, which means that I wouldn't say that he's someone I would pick totally as a match for you, but he's not like necessarily a gutter. He's just an interesting fit. So he has an eye roll of a first photo, which is he's on a mountaintop and he's looking up, and I don't know if it's ironic or not. So that will be the main thing to find out. He is a director at film, so he does film. He says, musician, filmmaker, homeowner, God first. All right, let's put him to the test. I enjoy long walks through Target under the moonlight. That's cute. He's 5'8". He's active. He's a Pisces. He rarely drinks, never smokes, doesn't know exactly what he's looking for. Wants kids someday. That usually means I could also go without. He's Christian. He's interested in fantasy, mindfulness, nutrition, making videos. He knows what looks like 5 languages. And there's one with him in a cowboy hat and a guitar. Don't think about it too much. He says, what are your green and red flags? Then there's one with him with sunglasses and he's looking kind of LA. But he's a good looking guy and I like his vibes. So
is he local? He's not like in Miami.
He's in Bay Lake, Florida. I don't know if that's near you.
Okay, that's close.
I'm gonna send you the harder to swallow photo, which is the one with the. I mean, no offense. If anybody watching is wearing a cowboy hat or likes them, my brother has one, my dad has one. It's just not a look I tend to go for. Okay. Here is the photo.
Okay.
Oh, and age, he's 39, which is a nice age, I think. If I do say so myself.
Wow, he's cute.
He's cute.
Yeah.
So, yeah. And, you know, I'm a Pisces. I love another Pisces. All right. For the sake of time, I'm going to swipe right.
Yay.
Yay. Okay. Oh, Mike gave you a hint to help you make the first move. Ask me about what shows I'm watching. Okay. So that'll be something for us to look forward to.
Okay.
All right.
Shows. I just started the 6th season of The Crown, and I'm a little upset that they're going to make us watch. They split it. So I binged like the first 4 episodes, and now you have to go back in December to watch the next set. Maybe they did that because they were dealing with Princess Diana's death at the beginning of this season. But
I don't like it when they split up seasons. Absolutely.
Me neither.
I'm a binger.
Yeah, I'm a binger.
Hence the Hershey's. Okay. So this man is 29. He's a part specialist at Naples Boat Mart. He says, I don't want quick intimacy. I want someone to lean into me for a lifetime, like how I dreamt it was meant to be. Holding you through the still days and then the hurricanes too. That's cute because it's Florida, guys. 6'1". He sometimes works out. He's a Libra. He drinks socially. He's Catholic. Woot woot. He's got art, soccer, bars, video games, and sex positivity. That doesn't seem like a flag based on the rest of him. He has a cute photo with his dog who has like crazy eyes in this picture, and he wears glasses in this one photo. All of them. The glasses are part of the look. I guarantee you that I can make you smile and laugh in our first date. Then there's him in front of his car. I don't know if that's a Lexus or what kind of car that is. And then there's him drinking a beer that his friend should have told him not to put on here. It's not that flattering, but it's okay. His real life superpower is his eyes. Then he's like at some theme park making a funny thing next to a thing. And then him with his dog in his backyard. He looks wholesome to me.
Yeah, let's see it.
Okay, let me see if I can find the best photo. I'm going to send the car photo, but it's the only car photo. Guys, if you don't know this, I have a thing that if everybody's photos are taken in their car, it's a flag. I don't know what of. I just don't like it.
And since she's picking on...
Well, it sort of signifies that the person doesn't really have friends.
No.
You don't like him.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
That was quick, right? Nope. Next.
Yeah. All right, guys. Julie knows what she wants. I like that. Sometimes I'm like, I was really riding on this guy. Okay. I don't actually like this guy on the second thought. Pressure's on because we only get a few, so I got to pick the good ones.
You got to pick another good one. Yeah.
Okay, this man. Oh, I don't think I'm losing confidence in what I think.
Don't lose confidence. It's just I wasn't.
No, it's okay. It's okay. All right, this man. Okay, this was a good one, I think. So he's 39. His first picture is him in front of like literal London Bridge or one of the bridges in London. And then he's 6'5", new to downtown Tampa, and works 100% remote. Never married, no kids. Looking for a quality relationship with toxic relationship sex, which I thought was kind of a funny joke. You didn't laugh.
I like that. I like
6'5", Scorpio. I have been seeing a Scorpio. I don't hate it. You need a thick skin, but they can be sensitive. Okay.
They're really good in the bedroom, Scorpios.
Correct. He drinks socially. He is also in another city skyline. Is that Dubai? I don't know. Or it could be, it's not New York. It looks, I don't know. I will never shut up about my travels.
These days, it can be an AI background. So just.
Well, the photo is not successful enough. It's like when my friends are like, is he a catfish? I'm like, no, that's the person behind the catfish profile. That's the reveal. This is the reveal. It's not that great of a photo. Okay. I will never shut up about my travels. Rome, Florence, Venice, Lucerne, Paris, London, Tokyo, Hong Kong, Dubai. Oh, it must be Dubai. Warsaw, Vienna, Budapest, Brussels, Amsterdam, Barcelona, and Dublin. Okay. He really won't shut up. Then there's another one of him. Ooh, let me guess. I bet that's Barcelona. He's got a little shot and tons of seafood in front of him. And he just looks genuinely like nice. He doesn't look douchey.
Let's see it.
Okay. There's a potential giveaway photo at the end that's really unflattering, but I actually think that this is what he really looks like.
Here's a good question for us.
I'm waiting.
Do you guys have a list of questions you ask right away of the people you date? No, because then they would dump me on the spot. I feel like men do not, Miranda, they do not like, in my personal opinion and in my personal journey, men don't like questions, and they certainly don't like to be. This is my
interesting.
Person.
I am not the same. I I'm trying to, I don't interrogate people, but I ask them lots of questions about things that they like. Tell me more about your travels. Like, I will ask them lots of things about, like, oh, what do you work on? And how does that work? And so, like, I'll take a lot of interest in their general life. And then it doesn't go poorly if then I also am like, they're like, yeah, my mom used to be such and such. And I'm like, oh, do you mind me asking, did she happen to pass away? Or like, I'll throw, then it sort of like loosens them up so that any more personal questions kind of get lost along the way. However,
Miranda's saying she asked a lot of questions, which is fine. If I am talking to the guy and we have good banter and I want to see it go somewhere, we may do something like 20 questions, or if I actually make it.
So you're saying like actual like sit down interview questions,
but
like, hey, tell me about your money.
Yeah, she's saying no, you have to have a list of questions. I don't. I try and get to know somebody based on what they're telling me, and to be honest, sometimes they're telling me a crock of shit.
Well, that's the thing. Actions definitely speak louder than words, in my opinion. And true, like narcissists and terrible people definitely know how to outsmart and give you the right answers. And then they're like some scary AI program that updates as you learns what you like. But I do agree that there are certain questions. There's information you want to have under your belt by about the first 3 dates or so, of a general sense of, do they have a roommate? Do they pay rent? Do they own a place? Do they have a job? What is their job? Do they have a relationship with their family? Do they have friends? So there's definitely pieces of information I try to suss out, but not particularly consciously.
So I actually thought Yo Mega was my friend Miranda Mobley, but he's saying that he is a guy, and he's saying, no, you have to ask tons of questions because we will think you want to get out of here and you're not interested. It's different for everybody, though.
Yeah, I think it is
different for everybody. Most of the men that I am meeting don't want to be.
Okay, well then, here is a point of conversation. Are the men that you're talking about, do they end up being gutters? Do they end up being good people? Because I would say that somebody who I think is a very quality individual who wants to really connect and have a relationship probably does appreciate questions, as long as they don't feel like a total interrogation. Maybe that's actually a sign of sussing out. You know, people who are shady or feel like they're being put on the defensive or whatever are often shady.
Let's see. You can clever interrogate the man.
Yeah, I guess it just has to, you got to have some style.
I guess it depends on who it is.
Yeah.
And your interest level. You know, since this is a podcast for the masses, it's not always going to be how I feel as an individual or how Rebecca feels or even how you feel. You know,
I think you got to read the room.
You have to read the room, because it has been my personal experience with most men that have been in my ethos of dating. They do not want to be questioned, and they don't have tons. And I'm at the point now where I don't even know if what they tell me is factual, and that's sad.
That's the problem. Is there's a fake news phenomenon that for sure actually happens in dating. All right. Can I get one more in here?
Yeah, get one more in and then we got to go. Somebody's, Yomega said, if you're looking for a quality man will let you grill him.
I will say that is hard to say no to. Okay. So this guy, I sent you a picture. Do you like the look of him? Oops, I'm on the wrong one.
Thank you. Thank you.
Friendly. Thank you. Julie, do you like the look of this guy?
Oh, wait. I didn't look. Oh, I was so engaged.
I know. That was a
Yeah. Yeah.
great. Cool.
He looks like he would like to be interrogated.
He does.
Maybe even some waterboarding.
No.
No, I wouldn't waterboard him.
I think he
Not
likes
on the first date. I'm not
20 questions over an English cup of tea and a biscuit.
Yeah.
Okay. So, ooh, I found a gutter I like. Who is this man? Okay, sorry. I live vicariously through Juleigh. So that's not unhealthy at all. No, guys, I do have my own life. We just don't talk about it on here. Okay, so hold on. Sorry, I have to get back to my chat. I got distracted by the app.
She does have her own life. She is helping. So she actually had I'm gonna tell the story while you're looking. We were at a cigar bar in Melbourne, Florida, shortly after we met, and I was struggling with some online dating issues. And she literally basically grabbed my phone and she was like, "What is going on here?" She said, "You know what would be a great podcast? If you let me get into your dating apps and let me guide you and help you and teach you the wise old ways of," she's not old, she's younger than I am, Rebecca. And so we started to have fun, and we even got other people in the cigar bar
Oh, yeah.
involved. And one of them at one point said, "Oh my God, who is she? She's savage." And I was like, "She's my friend. She's also the new co-host of my podcast, which we just started
Just now. Okay. Real quick. If somebody says that if it says that they're in travel mode, maybe everyone can weigh in here, though, Julie, you should know the answer off the top of your head. If it says they're in travel mode and that's it, so this person's in Live Oak, Texas. I hope I don't put him at risk. His address is no. Does he live in Orlando if it says nothing else? Like the Live Oak, Texas is next to the bag in travel mode, just like yours is in Orlando. So
I think that means he's in Live Oak right now.
Yeah, but he lives here. And
yeah,
he's currently
here. But he's
right. Okay, so he's on a business trip. We'll call it that. So his opening photo is not as stunning as it could be, but it's fine. He still looks nice. There's a bar in the back. He's been cropped out or cropped himself out. It was probably a nice photo of him with his mom or something. So about me, not married, no kids. That's NMNK. I had to look it up. Swipe right if you're up for skipping the pen pal phase.
NK?
MNNK, never married, no kids.
Okay.
That's what you want.
Yeah.
So swipe right if you're up for skipping the pen pal phase and meeting in person.
Yes. Check.
I'm active, open-minded, and ready for some fun adventures. Let's meet up before our chat history becomes longer than a Shakespearean play.
I love that.
I love it. He's 6 foot, active, drinks and smokes socially. He's looking for a relationship. His interests include running, cafe hopping, spa weekends, hiking trips. He can do that on his own. Sleeping well. Me like sleeping well. He looks real cute in this photo. I don't know what's in the background. Maybe you can guess. It looks like the bottom of pineapples. I don't know. It's like he's in a factory, but okay. Then
maybe it's at the Dole Pineapple Factory.
Maybe. Is that a thing?
Yeah, in Hawaii. Maybe he's a pilot.
I mean, I'm here for it. It looks like he's on some kind of vacation at a site. Okay, what's the most iconic first date you can think of is one of his questions. That's what we'll answer. Swipe right if you would be open to seeing if there is a connection in person. Again, yes. We have him looking at the beach wistfully. And then we have him hanging out in a hammock. And he looks really friendly. 2 truths and a lie. I hate waiting in long lines. I once won a hot dog eating contest. I can speak 7 different languages fluently. What is it with these languages, people?
Okay, wait a second. We're gonna answer this, we're going to swipe right on him. We're going to answer. We're going to deal with this because you said you don't have to go hiking. And I said, okay. Maybe Omega doesn't know me. Omega, do you know me outside of here? Do you know me?
Okay. I can't wait. I can't wait to hear. All right. So, can I show you this gentleman?
Yes. Isn't it the one you just showed me in the pool?
No, we swiped on him already. This is a new guy. And this is him in the hammock. And I'm going to swipe on him even if I don't have your consent. But I would like to know that I have it.
Yeah, let's see him. Because I thought we were swiping on the one that was in the pool like this. I thought we were still talking about this guy.
No, that guy's really great. We did him.
Okay.
And now this is a new guy. And you can tell me what you think of if those are pineapples. Or they look like watermelons that are painted to be pineapples, or the bottom of trees.
Where am I looking? You sent me the hammock.
And then there's another one attached to it. Like, could it be the double photo? Let me resend the other one.
No, I got it. Don't resend it.
Okay.
That looks like jackfruit.
Oh. Good eye.
And if it's not jackfruit, they look like cobra eggs. But probably
I don't even think cobras are that big.
No. You know what? It's God. He's attractive. I don't know.
Why don't we know? You don't think do you think maybe you could give him a chance and report back, and then you can slaughter me over?
I feel like this guy is more you.
Well, maybe, but I like to share.
For the purpose of content, swipe right. We'll initiate a conversation.
Great. Okay, so now. What?
Okay, Omega said no. Sorry, first time here. We don't know each other outside. So here's the thing. Omega, you said, no, you got to do the hiking. As a guy that likes to be outside, you need to make an effort to go outside too. Just find reasons to go outside. I love going outside. However, I have lupus and osteoporosis, and hiking, you want to hear me bitch faster? That's the way you do it. I don't hike. It's too hot. I can't do it. My knees crack. My legs buckle. I'm 48. Hiking is not my thing. Now, you want to go to a mountaintop and there's one of those gondola things that goes up the side of the mountain. I'll do that. I will go boating with you as long as it's not a kayak, because that puts me a little bit too close to the water. And here in Florida, we have gators and we have water moccasins. So that's not going to happen. And if I happen to breach a little bit too much with salt water, we got great white sharks. And I love them, but I don't think I should be on their menu. But I will go boating with you, just not canoeing or kayaking. Hiking, not going to do it. Camping, I'll go camping. So I will make the effort to do things that my possible partner is interested in 100%. However, I'm not going to ever put myself in a situation where on that first date, I need to call EMS. I end up breaking an ankle. That would be the worst date.
Well, I will say too, Omega, this is kind of how I have a slightly different thing about shared experiences or like shared hobbies than maybe that you do. And that's fine. We all have our different things. So I think that for someone to be a match, you want to have an overlap of as many things that you both like as possible are aligned. That makes you a good match. If you are all extreme sports and you are all this, yes, this comment right here. Yes, I agreed. It just sometimes we need to let each other do our own thing, whatever your thing is. And like, I'm in a chorus and I like to sing, and I definitely I don't think that someone has to come sing with me. So it just depends. I can see some compliments coming in. But I think that I do feel sometimes as a woman some pressure to take on the man's hobbies. So it's like, do you really want to do something like going shopping? But so I don't exercise that. I don't take on anything new that I don't like just to sort of make myself agreeable. However, I'm pretty open to trying most new things. So if somebody is into something or they're into golf, let's say, which is a snooze fest to me, I'm like, okay, I'll go out golfing with you. I'll see how I like it. If I don't like it, you're going to have your golf time.
Here's the thing. Golfing's great. I know how to drive a golf cart, so I will be your golf cart person. They serve drinks at a golf cart, so I will get a cocktail. And every good golfer knows that you need a ball cleaner. So, I mean, I may not know how to get a hole in one, and I may enjoy putt-putt more than I like the back nine. However, I will make concessions if it's something you enjoy. So to answer Omega's question, I will always make concessions and I'll always try and find something. And one of your last comments was, you want to go-kart racing. I love go-kart racing. That is absolutely a win. I will do that. But fuck a duck. I will go NASCAR racing. I will get in a NASCAR at a speed lap and do a speed lap. That's fun to me. Can't do the hiking. Sorry. That's where we're at. Guys, it has been a great week. Next week, please join us, Omega. Please come back.
Yes, we would love to have you and your perspective for sure.
Next week, we are going to talk about priority. Rebecca is always great in each show because sometimes she's like, we need to do a show on that. And usually I don't have anything planned long term. So priority is going to be a great episode. So join us next week as we talk about priority and where you should fit in that when you're looking to find your forever partner. Thank you for joining us on OIO. Next week, I probably will be drinking, depending on the week and how the 11 gutter swipes go.
And I'll be back to wine.
And she'll be back to wine. And I'll be back to wine. And Rebecca, stay around real fast in the green room. I have to share something with you. And then we are out for the evening. Thank you. And join us next week as Juleigh selects another rosé. And we talk about.
For more content, follow justjuleigh.com. That's just Juleigh, JULEIGH.com. Thank you to our guests, and thank you for joining us this evening. Join us next week as Juleigh tries a different rosé.